Welcome everyone to the WORAN event today. I'm delighted to welcome you to our speaker, Grazia Speranza, who's going to be talking to us today about women and stereotypes throughout life. This is our programme for today. I'm Frances O'Brien, Chair of the WORAN Committee, giving you this brief introduction. I'll then hand over to Kathy Kotiadis from the WORAN Committee, who is going to introduce Grazia, our speaker for today. She'll also explain how we'll interact with you during this session, so how you can ask questions during the session and at the end. And then after Grazia's talk, Kathy will hand back to me. I'll update you on the WORAN activities, just to give you some dates and thoughts for your diaries. And then we'll have our networking session. We'll go into some small group discussions where we can talk about what resonated with us from Grazia's talk. So a warm welcome from the WORAN Committee. On this slide, I'd just like to pay special thanks to our sponsors who we're very grateful for their financial support throughout our activities. You can see here their various logos. Let's hear a little bit about you. I know, excuse me, I know you've introduced yourselves in the chat, but we have a little poll, just 2 questions for you. Do you see yourself as a practitioner, an academic, both, or maybe neither? And where are you in your career? Are you a student? Do you think you're early in your OR career or your analytics career, mid, senior, or are you retired? And Amy is going to put that up for us now. So please do put your entries in and click. And we'll just wait for a moment or two for Amy to gather the results, and then she will share them with us, I hope. Thank you very much, Amy. So, I think you can see this screen too. Yes, you can. Thank you for some feedback there. So we've a fairly equal split academics practitioners and a range of people at different stages in their careers. That's fantastic. Thank you very much for that, Amy. So, what's the purpose of these online events? Well, we have lots of opportunities for you to discuss interesting topics, share and learn from each other, and build a network of people that you're getting to know and have some fun. So with that in mind, I would like to hand over to Kathy. I'll stop sharing my screen and hand over to Kathy, who will introduce our speaker for today.
Let me make sure I've unmuted. That's the most famous thing. Have I unmuted my my sentence for the year? And I'm going to start with a bit of housekeeping. I am going to introduce Grazia, but when she begins her talk, if you want to ask questions, there's 2 ways of doing this. So you can either put your question in the chat, and I'm going to be monitoring the chat, and then I'll ask them at the end. But you can also do the other thing. You can wait till I've answered, sorry, I've asked all the questions I've answered. I've asked all the questions, and then you can unmute and ask Grazia any other question that you might want. So you've got 2 options depending on whether you feel ready to talk or whether your microphone works. So with that in mind, I'm going to start my introduction. So I felt over the last few days, because I do know Grazia a little bit, because Grazia was the one of the keynote speakers for OR 61. And I felt that I wanted to see how I could introduce her, because I do actually know her. I feel like I know her as well. And I thought about also what was going on in the last week. And we've had this inauguration. And I would say that, and I think that most of you might agree, the people that stole the show were Kamala Harris, the poet, and I've written her name, the 22-year-old poet, Amanda Gorman, and I'd say Lady Gaga. And how I feel right at this moment is that it's our time. It's the time that we've got to embrace and celebrate the feminine leader. And that's why it's so important that in this week we have the WORAN event. It's like a perfect continuation that fits with our values, with the industry that we work in. And Grazia is somebody who's a shining star, an example of everything that is actually possible, the things that we can accomplish, especially if we're further down in our career and we want to look up to these aspiring stars and see, well, what is there, what is possible? And whether you're an academic or a practitioner, it doesn't really matter. It's the effort, it's the achievement, the rate of change that we're looking to. So I'm going to say a few little things that come through from her CV. So she's had these super impressive admin jobs like Dean of the Faculty of Economics and Business, Deputy Rector, President of Euro, President of IFORS, other presidencies, currently the President of IFORS, which is like the International Federation. And I want to kind of say of the galaxy, but yeah, I'm not going to say that. She's been an editor of these esteemed journals, so you can see the quality of her work coming through, you know, an author of over 200 articles, a member of the board of directors for these very impressive Italian companies. So she's clearly respected in industry as well. They want her opinion, they want her at the top, helping them make decisions. So she's got a lot to teach us. And I want to kind of say, from my experience, she's a great dancer. She got up on the stage at OR 61 and did not leave the stage. I was there, I've got clips, I can prove it. She's also a proud mother of two very accomplished young women. And she's not just a leader, because she is a leader, but she's also a cheerleader for us women. So I'm going to hand over to Grazia to tell us how to do it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for this wonderful introduction. Well, first of all, I would like to thank WORAN for this invitation. I have done many things in life, as you mentioned. In this phase of my life, I'm very excited about women, and I'm available to do all I can to help, especially the younger generations, to do their best in the world, and the world is really waiting for them. So thanks for inviting me. Right, so I feel at my ease when I talk about science. It's quite easy. I have so much experience, and it is not a problem to draft a presentation for about mathematical programming, solution methods, theorems, whatever. Talking about women is more difficult because I always find always, I have done it a few times by now. It's not easy to give the right sort of flavor and find the right trade-off between general concepts and personal experience. And whenever I think about women, I always, in my mind, start from the past, because we cannot read where we are without understanding where we come from. So this is what I'm doing. So I will start from the past, and I will try to be general, but of course I'm putting my experience here, and the things I will say come from my own experience as well. We can't forget that we didn't have the right to vote until the beginning of the 20th century. In the US in 1920, we had the right to vote. And we can't forget that the right to vote in some countries is so recent that it is quite scary. In 73, in the small San Marino, which is really in the middle, it is located in the middle of Italy. It's a beautiful small country. And in Switzerland, women, depending on the canton, had the right to vote for the local election between 71 and 91. So some rights were given to women so recently. And well, there are many other rights that we were given over time. We were denied at some point to keep the job after marriage. And at some point we got that right. We got the right to study. We were not allowed to enter universities, and many women had to pretend to be men to have access to books. And we were not allowed to teach in public, and we got that right. The right to earn the same money for the same job. And still this is not obvious, although it is written in the law. The right to pilot an airplane, to play soccer, and so many other rights. So now we have got those rights. And Hillary Clinton said, when there are no ceilings, the sky is the limit, which is beautiful. I love this sentence. Yes, this is true in principle, but there are many obstacles because, well, now sort of having equal rights is like having a traffic light. But then when you cross the road, you may find any kind of obstacles or barriers on the road that you have to cross. So having the right to cross doesn't mean you will be able to do it. And so the green light is not enough by far. This is quite clear. We have the right to fly. We want that right, and we deserve that right, but we are not there yet. There are many hurdles, obstacles, barriers, and what I think is that those hurdles are not as visible as being denied of a right. So these hurdles we face today are subtle and much more difficult to fight and remove because they're not as clear as a denied right. Let me just mention a couple of women from the past. There are so many that who deserve to be mentioned. But let me just mention these two, because I think these are two examples of how the professional success is related to the personal life of a woman. And here you see Marie Curie. And she's very famous. She got the Nobel Prize. And it's fantastic. She's an example. What I want to mention here is, well, of course, here at this conference, a very important conference, she's the only woman. But what I want to mention here is that she was married to Pierre, and Pierre supported her in all possible ways. And the Nobel Prize was offered to him alone. And he fought to share the Nobel Prize with her. And at the end, he succeeded. But at that time, the fact that she was a woman was really an obstacle for her to emerge. And only with the help and support of an amazing partner, she became the example for the future generations. So what I want to emphasize here is the connection between the professional success and the personal success. And the other example I want to mention is the one of Mileva Marić, whom I don't know if you have ever heard of. She was an amazing young lady, brilliant, blessed with mathematical skills and very, very good at that. She became the first student at the Polytechnic of Zurich, and the father believed in her, and he sent her to Zurich to study. And there she met Albert Einstein, and she became her fiancé, and they had a girl before they were married. And this was a disaster for her because it was not allowed by the society at that time. She did not graduate for that reason, basically. And they married after, they had 2 children. And she, at the end, she was the only one in the couple to take care of the children. And Albert invested himself in his job. He was passionate. It seems now that they did share a lot of the results that were published only under his name, because the name of a woman would have decreased the value of the publication. So she disappeared just because the husband did not fought enough for her. Now, some facts. Performance measure, education. Once we were not allowed to study, now we are. And if you look at the education level, well, it's quite simple. Girls do better. Under all kinds of performances, the statistics I have seen show that girls are better. Average grades are better. They abandon university less than boys. They have a more regular course. Higher percentage of cum laude, so they do better. And if you look at more detailed, these are Italian statistics, but I think they're similar in other countries as well. If you look at the average grade, graduation grade, you see on the right, it's 103 for over 110 for girls and 101 for boys. And it is similar for all directions of studies, from economy to engineering to medicine. It doesn't really depend on what they study. And so it seems that this is enough. If you are good, you're good. The problem is that when you move on and you start observing what happens after the end of the education process, this is where things start really to change from, I would say, from the factual point of view. And if you look at the academic situation, you see that we have many PhD students who are women, and then we have less assistant professor lecturers, we have even less associate professors, and we have even less full professors, and of course, deans and rectors, presidents, whatever. So what attracted my interest here in this particular figure is that there is not a big change between 2007 and 2013. There are 2 lines which are almost identical, 2 yellow and 2 blue lines that are really overlapping. And this unfortunately shows that things are not really happening as quickly as we expected, and possibly they're even getting worse recently. If we go to the workplace, we have only 14% women ownership of companies, top managers 18%, senior roles 36%. So percentages, all kinds of statistics that you look at show similar percentages. Of course, the percentages, the numbers will be different depending on what you measure, but they give all the same messages. So above the surface, we see the symptoms of a problem, right? The numbers I have shown show symptoms, but we have to go deeper and to dig to find the causes of this problem. And I think one of the causes is really the lack of an equal sharing of the housework. And here I will show you a few statistics. Again, there are so many. And well, this shows, depending on the country, what is the percentage of women and men who do some cooking or some housework. And of course, the women do much more. And you see Italy, for example, is one of the worst. UK is not as bad, but in all countries, women work much more at home. And if you look at the time, because it is not only a matter of cooking and doing housework, it is also a matter of how much time you spend at those tasks. And of course, women work much more than men. And this shows that when you look at small amounts of time, you see a larger percentages of men. And if you look at the larger amounts of time, you find women in larger percentages. Also, this is another statistic, quite recent, and here you see the ratio of mother's time to father's time. Total housework, core housework, childcare, whatever of those rows you look at, you find a trend which is worrying. Because you see, look at the first row, for example, total housework. It was a 7.6, this ratio. So mothers worked 7 to 8 times more than fathers in 65. And then that ratio decreased. You see, it decreased until 98, 99. And then it started growing again. So what worries me in these recent years is that I have the impression that the trend that started in the maybe 60s, 70s and changed our society is not really continuing. And I'm afraid that our society is not evolving in the direction that I really have dreamed of. An example, Netherlands. Netherlands is an advanced country, and I had a certain sort of, a certain idea of the Netherlands only recently through the eyes of a friend and the experience of a friend. And through this number, it is a country where women are in a difficult position. 77% of employed women work part-time, worked in 2012, but I think also today this percentage has not changed much. And 1/3 of the European women work part-time. This is a symptom. And what is the cause? Well, a major cause is the cost of childcare, which is extremely high in the Netherlands. Of course, the time that we have in a day available is 24 hours for women and for men. So if we do more than men at home, we cannot put the same efforts, the same time, the same energy into our profession. So I think this is a key point that should be really always kept in mind very, very clearly. Also, now I would like to spend a few words about normality, right? What is normality? Normality is something we got used to, something that people in general think is what we expect to happen. It is what the majority of people think. Normality today is different from the normality 50 years ago or 100 years ago. So normality is a concept which is really critical. And for women, what is normal is not what is right. Normality is a paved road, Van Gogh said. It's comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow. And I found this, which I found nice. Keep away from him. He's not normal. And here it was the concept of symmetry, right? But the idea is that we tend, or the society, I don't know, we tend to be skeptical, afraid of what is different from normality. Let me mention just an example, the story of my name. Names. Well, the name is important. We sort of identify ourselves with our name. And well, in UK in particular, but in many other countries as well, when a woman marries, she takes the last name of the husband. The husband keeps his last name. Why is that? And when we have children, the children take the last name of the father, and the last name of the mother disappears. Why is that? This is normal. Is that right? And let's go back from the beginning of the life of a girl and a boy. For a girl is pretty, cute. She's an angel. And mothers are proud of their angels, and the girls dream of being princesses, angels, not really leaders or managers or successful professionals, right? And then they grow up. Girls and boys grow up in the family with role models. And here you see the mothers serving everybody at the table, the father sitting at the table waiting to be served. These are examples we grow up with. Nobody needs to teach us what we have to do. Boys know that they can be served, and girls know that they should be served. They should serve. And when you go outside the family, we have the role models, and we have Albert Einstein and managers and speakers at conferences and even cooks, because when it is a matter of success, even in the kitchen, the man becomes the stars and not the women. And also at the interviews, there are also here statistics that show that when in TV, they need to interview a professional, a doctor, a scientist, an economist, more than 80% of the cases, the interviewed people are men. And when at TV, they need to interview someone on the road, just walking around about what do you think about the situation, about the weather, without a name, unknown citizens. Most of the time, these are women. And these are messages that we all receive. And about women, these are the messages again that we see on TV, in movies, series. This is the image of women, and we grow up. We all grow up with these images in mind, and also still the young generations are growing up with these images in mind, and they shape our values and our way of looking at ourselves and looking at our partners. Well, I looked at the internet, and you find a number of silly sentences, but you even here you see the difference between how a woman is seen by most of the people. Here, don't be a woman that needs a man, be a woman a man needs. In any case, a woman is shaped on a man. Every man needs a woman when his life is a mess, because just like in a game of chess, the queen protects the king. So these are all examples of the psychological barriers that we meet. And I would say all these messages really shape the minds of women and men. Expectations on a girl. Since we were born, we receive, we are encouraged to be sweet, good looking, obedient, not assertive, good listeners. It is not good for women to be self-focused. So we are encouraged in many ways to be like that. And this does not favor a professional success. And what to do? Well, we are not encouraged to study technological subjects or mathematics or physics, whatever. Family is the first priority for us, not for a man. Duties, housework, children responsibility, it is on us. Job, we are encouraged to choose one that leaves time for the family. Career, well, we should be ashamed when we mention that we want a career. It is not good for us. Ambition, another bad word for us. And then we should not be surprised when we see that women lack self-confidence. How can a woman become self-confident if we have all this burden of past experience and messages on our shoulders? Well, what sometimes really makes me upset is that recently, by men and women, many men and many women, I hear this sentence: the only thing that matters in our society now is merit. So this implies that if you are good, you will be successful. If you're not successful, you're not good. As simple as that. This is absolutely false. It is not true. And this is not true for a number of reasons. And there are studies, and fortunately, in the last years, there are especially women, not men most of the time, but women are performing studies and collecting evidence of the facts that I'm mentioning here. So women are treated differently at the workplace, especially in fields where they are underrepresented. They're not, when they present an application, they're not called back as often as a man is. And especially in the technological areas, this happens, and the ratio is 3-to-1 in those areas. And there are also famous experiments here I'm citing one particular study, but there are several others showing that when a company, here it was the case of 6 universities, but when a company has to choose between a man and a woman with the same identical CV, there are experiments that have been done. Most of the time, the man is chosen, only for the fact that it is a man. He is a man. And in the case the woman was hired, her salary was substantially lower. Evaluation, again, studies show that there are gender bias against women in performance evaluations. For the same performance, women are evaluated less than men. When there is service work to be done, of all kinds, especially internal service work, women face more requests than men and tend to accept to do service tasks. And well, there's a lot to be said here, but this effect again. Recommendation letters, studies show that women receive less excellent letters than men. And in general, women are not treated like men. Women are treated in a less professional way than men, are less often addressed with their academic title. So their professional status is much less recognized than it is for men. Women are penalized in negotiations. If they overperform, they are rewarded less. They are held to higher standards. There are studies here, so I'm not only reporting my opinions based on my own experience, but also sort of the result of studies. Let me mention that each of us may have different examples in mind. We may have examples of women who have been treated like men. We have examples of successful women. These are examples. These are exceptions. This is not the standard. This is not what happens in the majority of cases. Also, about leadership, sometimes I hear that women are not interested in a career, or they're not interested in becoming leaders. And it has been proved that in many cases, women do not adopt, do not sort of make themselves available to cover a leadership role because they know they will not receive support from a male-dominated sort of team, context, whatever it is. So we know that men are preferred to us, and this is really something very, very difficult to fight. And also what I hear from men and women, because many women share the same opinion as men. When I say that I hear often the sentence sort of what matters, merit is the only thing that matters nowadays, because we have equal rights, so where is the problem? And also what I hear is that things have changed. We didn't have the right to vote, but now we do. So there is no more problem. And this is not true, as I said already. And we can observe that still we have too many firsts. Some examples. 2018, La Scuola Normale di Pisa is the most famous school in sciences in Italy. It is very difficult to enroll at this school. The selection is very hard. And the first professor, female, at the Scuola Normale di Pisa started working there in 2018. And the first director of CERN, Fabiola Giannotti, started in 2014. First Fields Medal, the most prestigious award in math, was awarded in 2018 to a woman. The first Euro president, Martine Labbé, in 2007. Also the first IFORS president woman in 2007. The first Euro gold medal awarded to a woman, again, 2019. And well, if we look at our society, the European Association of the Operational Research Societies, the first president was Martine, and then Valerie, whom I have seen here, was the second, and then myself, and then Elena. And I think this sequence of women presidents of Euro are already changing, have already changed a bit Euro. I hope this trend will continue and we will see more women here. But when it is a matter of choosing sort of, for example, the editor-in-chief of a journal, the chair of a conference, of the Euro conference, members of juries and committees, the attention to women was there, from Martine to Elena. And I hope it will stay for a while, but we always have to pay attention that this is the case. Elise was the first president of IFORS, and then it was my turn, and only 2 women. And IFORS was launched in 1959. So we definitely need more women here. I do believe that we need women leaders in our society. It is not easy. We still have many obstacles, many barriers on our way, but we should not give up. We have to fight to gain leadership positions. First, because we deserve it, because we want to express the best of us. We want to have an impact also, because without women in those leadership positions, the world, the society will not change in the direction that we want. And also we want to be recognized for what we do. This is what we deserve. And it is the right thing to do, to want to be recognized for what we do. The obstacles are there, we know this. We know also that not everything depends on us. But this should give us more strength, because we are aware that what happens is not, if we meet an obstacle, if our career is slower, if we meet something, if people do not behave well with us, we know there's a reason. It is not in us. It is not our problem. We have to fight against all this. And I think this is very important. Women should support and help women. And WORAN is an excellent example of this. As Madeleine Albright said, there is a special place in hell for women who do not help other women. And again, I hear from several women, more than one, that women sometimes, how to say, create problems to other women, are envious, and we should really fight against these feelings. I believe we have to keep talking about this matter, because only keeping the conversation alive, we can continue to try to change the current trend, and we do have to do that. We have to work together among us, women, but also we need to work with men. We need to have men involved. We have to work with them, because a better society is a society where women and men have the same opportunities. And it is proved that, for example, couples where both work are less likely to divorce, are happier. So I think in general, a more balanced society will be a happier society, not only for women, but also for men. Thank you very much for your attention.
I'm going to do the clapping for all of us. And you can use, if you can see, there are reactions, so you can add a reaction. I could see a lot of comments in agreement. I think we're all ready to go out there and burn something and start a fight. We're all fired up, I think. That was a fabulous talk, Grazia. So many things that I think we all feel very passionate about came through. I have one question, so I'm going to start with that one from Ruth, but then I'm going to invite everybody who's got other questions to ask them. So I'm going to start with Ruth's question, which I've just got to find. So it's on the topic of negotiation for salary, promotion, etc. Do you think women need tailored training in negotiation rather than following standard negotiation guidance because their counterparties treat them differently?
I think in general, probably we should have a training. Well, not only we, I think women and men, because the bias is in our mind and in the men's minds. So we both genders need to be trained. The men should be trained to look fairly to men and women, the same for women. It's a very complicated matter because on one hand, if we behave like women, we are not considered strong enough, we are not considered determined. If we are soft, we are not considered to be sort of winners. And so we may lose the battle for whatever the negotiation aims at. On the other hand, when we abandon the role of our gender, the expectations about what we should, how we should behave, then we are seen as strangers, as something people don't expect and don't like. So it's a very complicated situation, and I think probably what we need is to find the right balance between being ourselves, but also being something that is closer to what makes us successful in the negotiation. So to answer your question, I think yes, it would be very useful. But again, it would be useful for us and also for men. There should be training courses for both.
Kathy, you're on
Kathy,
mute.
you're on mute.
Sorry, I muted myself because I was typing. So Ruth, you seem to think that there's some questions that I've missed out. Let me quickly have a look. I didn't see a clear question. Can you point, Ruth, to which?
Somebody, Mary Conlon asked about unlearning stereotypes because we all have them. And somebody else has just asked about how you feel about quotas. And yeah. I think there were some earlier questions about iron ladies.
Mm-hmm.
I took those as comments, so that's the, yeah, rather than a question. Do you want to say something, Grazia, and then I'll go to Dorian?
Yeah, well, stereotypes, the first thing is awareness. So I think we need to be aware. I did not receive any kind of education about how women were discriminated, and I think it would have helped me to understand and read what was happening. I think we should be made aware of our society and of the situation, and this is the first step, because we should not feel guilty if we do less than our husband at home or the same amount of work. this is right. It is just we are just sort of educated to take the majority of the responsibility, or even the majority of the work, but the complete responsibility. So the first thing is to be aware. So to read, to take or give courses. Here, I know that today there are junior and senior researchers. So the senior researcher or the senior workers, the senior professionals should try to help the junior, and the junior should try to learn. About quotas, I'm in favor. For many years, not for many years. I think quite quickly, when I understood where our society was, I think I became sort of convinced that quotas are a very important tool to avoid a moving backward of our society, to accelerate the change, because since men have most of the control of our society, they have most of the power in the political elections, in the companies, everywhere. Given all the barriers that I try to present in my talk, we will never reach equal opportunities. And we need more women in leadership positions, in political positions, and this is not what I'm observing. So I think quotas are really important. I do believe in quotas, at least for a number of years. When we will be there, 50-50, we will not need quotas anymore. But I mean, quotas are not needed if we believe that merit is the only driving force. If we do believe that merit is the only driving force of our society, we will not need quotas. But since this is not the case, we do need quotas. This is my point of view.
Thank you, Grazia. I'll go to Dorian to ask a question.
Thank you very much, Kati, for giving me the word. Thank you very much, Grazia, for this excellent talk. Now, I am a social scientist, and social scientists study feminism and studies social challenges. My field is societal complexity, and the position of a woman is a complex societal problem, which is very, very complicated. And I recognize the description that you gave in all aspects of my life. We started a big feminist movement when I was 30, after my divorce. I had 2 children. And that became much for myself an awareness what is happening in the society and where I'm standing. So yes, I want to comment for this wonderful, excellent presentation. I do myself also often. Just this year, I was asked to give the first feminist presentation in Iran on Zoom on many for women, which I was very happy to do, of course. And by the way, yes, I hope to meet you all in Athens this year, and I hope to be there, and we have a special meeting, and then we can really connect and bind. And of course, I know Val and Ruth and Francis already for many years. So I hope to keep in contact, and thank you very much for this wonderful occasion.
Thank you, Dorian. Thank you very much. I hope to see you in Athens.
That sounds lovely. There's nothing better at a conference than a gathering of women, as we all know. And ideally, we need to have cocktails.
We do.
So let me see. I've got Maria. Have you got your hand up? Is that right? Do you want to ask a question? Is it Maria Batara? I can see a hand. It might be an old hand.
Sorry, complete mistake. Do I have my hand up?
That's okay. We've all got these old hands up.
Okay.
Jana Rees, I can see a hand up there.
Sorry, same here. Don't think I
Same
pressed
here.
anything.
Anybody else who wants to ask a question, just unmute it. There's quite a good audience today, so it's difficult to see if there are hands. Is it Sarah Arias? Have you got your hand up? Or is it Sane? Perhaps it's an old hand. If you want to ask a question, you're very welcome to just to unmute and ask the question. If not, I'm going to say that there's very interesting comments, and I don't know if you want to take a minute, everybody, just to look at the comments. It's exploded. Everybody's brought in these ideas around how their organizations, and I don't know, Grazia, if you want to look at them, how their organizations are managing promotion panels, whether there's training, whether what should go on signatures, and you know, so we get over the idea that if somebody's a doctor, they're a man. I've noticed all these interesting comments, and it's a lot of food for thought.
Can I make a comment about one of these comments? For example, I see that Prasad Sivaramakrishna writes that in her institution, men and women are treated equally, and if a woman does well, she's selected. And I think fortunately there is more attention to an equal evaluation of candidates. I'm not denying this, but still I believe that a key moment is when we build a family, and especially when we have children. Because at that point, if we sort of give more of our time and energy than our partner to the housework and to the children, our career will not develop as quickly. So I hope that this is happening in more and more companies and institutions. I believe it does not yet happens as often. Also for a very trivial fact that when we get pregnant, we stay at home for a few months, and the company is in trouble because they have to substitute us. So I believe also that the legislation should be changed, and there should be a mandatory period for fathers to stay with the children. So there would be the same kind of, how to say, disadvantage for a company to hire a man with respect to a woman. So I think although I'm absolutely aware and happy that things have changed with respect to, I don't know, 50 years ago, I still believe that there is a long path towards equality.
Thank you. I'm just going to ask Francis how we're doing in terms of time.
Hi, Kathy. It's now just 1 o'clock, so we have some time left for just an update on WORAN activities, and also some opportunity to network in breakout rooms where we can have a further chat about Grazia's talk.
Okay, so with that in mind, what I'm going to say is, if everybody wants to, so this is what I think we should do. How about anybody who's comfortable, share your picture so we can at least tweet it, or, you know, and put the video back on so we can see if we can take a picture of us that we can tweet, if you're happy to do that. If you're not, then keep your video on. So we can capture this moment. I've got my mobile ready. I don't know if anybody else wants to do the same, but Shall we sort of all smile? Okay, so let's get it. Everybody smile, cheese. Okay, I think I've got it. If there's another screen, so I'm going to try and get the second screen now. Yeah, I think I've got the second screen too. Brilliant, love it. Love the kids that are in the pictures. Fabulous. I think I've got it there. So what I'm going to say is let's now unmute and give Grazia a proper thank you. It's going to be loud, but let's do it.
Thank you very much. Very welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Grazia, and handing over to Francis now.
Thanks, Kathy. Let me just see. Okay, hopefully you can all see the screen. Can I have some nod? I haven't got many people. Hang on. Can I have a thumbs up?
Yeah, we can see the screen.
Super duper. So I'd just like to advertise the forthcoming events in the WORAN programme. We have a fixed date for our next event, which I think follows on really nicely from Grazia's talk today, Living with Imposter Syndrome. That's on the 18th of February. And then we do have events in planning for March and April. So in March, we will have a series of speakers doing some lightning talks, you know, some very quick talks. And those speakers will be from people early on in their career. And then in April, we're having a wikithon, which I've never done anything like that before. It sounds great fun. I believe it's where we are going to populate Wikipedia with profiles of women. So that event, I think, is being planned by Sonia Crow. Yes, really exciting. So we will be advertising dates for the March and April events in due course, but I would encourage you to put the 18th of February in your diary if you're interested in living with imposter syndrome. We would welcome your feedback on this event. I believe Amy's going to put this link into the chat so that you have that link and could give us some feedback. We really do welcome your feedback to make sure that we're on track and providing events that you are interested in. So it's now, I'm just looking for clocks. All the clocks in my house are fast because that's my ploy to get the kids everywhere on time, but it means I never know the right time. I think it's 1:05. So we have about 15 minutes in these discussion breakout groups. If you're running out of time and have other important things to do, please do feel free to leave at this point. If you do have time to stay for another 20 or so minutes, please do. What we're going to do is to put you into breakout groups of 3 or 4 or 5 people. Do spend some time introducing yourself, switch your camera on, switch your mic on, and then pick up on any of the points that resonated with you in Grazia's talk. So Amy from the OR Society is going to manage this for us. She will automatically put us into random groups, and then at 20 past, she will automatically bring us back into the main room. So over to you, Amy, if you wouldn't mind sending us off into our breakout groups, please. Hello, everyone. We should all be coming back into the room now. Hope you enjoyed your little chats in the breakout rooms. Do any of the groups want to share any insights from their discussions? If you do, just put your mic on, I think is probably the easiest way.
We were talking about how the stereotypes that you grow up with are very, very difficult to shake off, if you can at all. So, and the importance of feeling comfortable in declaring yourself a feminist, whether you're male or female. probably other things as well. It was a really nice discussion.
Thanks, Ruth. Any other groups want to share their insights? What you talked about?
Hi. We talked about that we feel overall that we are in a bit of a privileged position as within, well, at least in the group we were, we feel that within our institutions and our environment, the situation is probably better than average, which is very good for us, but yeah, it's something just to reflect.
Thanks very much, Alessia. Any other groups?
May I just have a comment, Francis? Not about the group. It was a very nice discussion because we were some junior and senior. So it was, I think, a nice discussion, but I would like to hear the voices of the members of the group. I was thinking about the feminist thing. And I would like to share with you my being uncomfortable about the use of this word. Because I think I very rarely define myself as feminist, although as you heard from my talk, I strongly believe, and I always say it loud, that women should have the same, not only rights, but the same opportunities to thrive in life and to achieve, to become leaders, whatever. Because the feminism is a word, being feminist, nowadays should have a meaning different from the meaning it had 50 years ago, 40 years ago. So I don't want to be identified as an old style feminist. I think maybe we should need a different word, because otherwise we appear to those who listen to us, we appear old-fashioned, fighting for something that does not need to be fought today.
Thanks very much, Grazia. Any other comments?
Hi, Mary here. I'd just like to agree with Grazia that when I was growing up, I didn't associate as a feminist either, because I just felt completely equal. And I think that was kind of nearly the, and that subtlety of then when you went into the real world and started to feel this unknown thing that was real, it took years, maybe 10, 15, 20 years, now that I have children of my own, to realize, wow, even though as a child and in my formative years, I felt completely equal, completely, and probably nearly even superior to my brothers. And I imagine feminism was an old thing as well. So I think it can be so subtle and hard to name. And like the barriers, the big barriers, the physical, visible ones may be gone. And it probably is the invisible cultural barriers that are the real thing that we have to address now with the cognitive bias training for men and women. But I think it can be a very subtle, hard to name, hard to label thing.
And I would agree with that about the invisibleness. I think, I work for a large organisation. We have a lot of structures about things to try and make it fair and increase diversity and all these things. And you can feel like you've progressed and you've got reward for your progression, but you don't know necessarily, or you don't see necessarily whether that's different for the males and the females. And it kind of comes back to that kind of measurement thing, perhaps, how do you, that kind of measurement and tracking, I think Grazia, you kind of mentioned about the kind of merit and who people, who gets selected for interview and who doesn't. If you apply for a job and you don't get selected for interview, you don't know whether that's just because you were unqualified or whether there was some unconscious bias going on in there. Until you kind of measure that at a kind of overall level, or your organizations are doing it to try and kind of make sure that that's not happening. There's a lot to do.
Perhaps since I threw the word feminism into the conversation, perhaps I should say that actually it came up in the group because Alice was saying that when she expresses what she wants out of life, people say, you're nothing but a feminist, or this is feminism. as if it's something that you should disown. And I think one of the issues then becomes all of the different nuances that people put onto words. It's the same experience that gay people had when they, the term in English when I was growing up was abusive. The term gay was introduced by gay people because it was not abusive. And those who wished to abuse turned it into an abusive term. And I think that's what happens in any of these controversial areas. It happens with ethnicity, where the appropriate words are continually changing because they get subverted. So language, I'm prepared to sort of accept what you tell me on language, but I feel that it's handing a victory to the anti-feminists to lose our term of feminism. And if anybody hasn't read Caitlin Moran's, I can't even remember the name of the book, where she says basically, as long as you think women should have equal rights, that makes you a feminist. And it's equal rights in practice, not in legal form. So.
If I can add anything, I agree with Grazia Speranza on the fact that we should change the word, because people who don't know its actual meaning, they can think that it's opposite. It's like a contrary of the male predominance, and so we are not asking for that. We are asking for equal rights and equal laws and equal opportunities. And I also suggest a book by Virginia Woolf, A Room of One's Own, where she wrote that there should be a marriage of the opposites towards an androgynous mind, something that it is neither female or male, but something that it is equal for both.
Thanks everyone for sharing those sorts of real interesting comments there and possibly books to read. Before I draw the thing to a close, I just wanted to ask Amy at the OR Society. Dorian was asking if it's possible for us to have a copy of the chat. There were certainly lots of comments there. Is that possible, Amy?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I can send around a copy of the chat along with the recording of the event as well.
That'd be great.
Yeah, once our marketing team has edited it, put it all together, yeah, we can send that around to everyone who's attended today.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Frances.
I'm just going to check with the slides to see if I've got anything else on the slides. Hold up. Yes, so we're coming close to 1:30, so I'll draw the event to a close. And I would like to start by thanking Grazia for your fantastic talk today. Thanks to Kathy for your brilliant introduction and managing of the questions, to Amy for helping us with all the technical stuff, and to the OR Society. Thanks to you all for attending. If you're not a member of WORAN, there is a link here on the slide. Amy, are you able to put that in the chat where you can join WORAN, and that means you'll get notifications of future events. The link for the feedback, I saw Ruth had just recently put that in the chat as well, so please do give us your feedback. If you would like to do a write-up of this event for the OR Society's newsletter, OR Inside, please do let us know. Feel free to send me an email or volunteer in the chat. It doesn't need to be a long piece, but it is good to have the perspective of one of the participants as to what they took from the event. And just to remind you that our next event on imposter syndrome will be on the 18th of February. So thanks very much.